Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to remove our four, on this model it's four, or zinc anode bolts. So we're gonna, these have already been pre-loosened. We're just gonna pop those out. Just gonna pop these out for now. It's obviously a lot easier if you trim your motor up. Just gives you a little more room to work. Okay. So our bolts are out. Zinc's gonna look just like this. Just like that. Okay. And now what we want to do is we're gonna grab our brackets with our lights. So we're gonna go left on the left side. We don't get confused. Right on the right side. Just like that on the ground. You can see here. Just set them down. Okay. We're gonna do that. Next, as I've recommended, you're gonna take, in my case, it's just this magnet. But you can use a piece of wire, you can use anything. Or if you're just good enough, you can sneak those wires up there, you don't even need it. So what I like to do is I'll take a zip tie, just like that, and I'll run this down behind the trim unit. And then what you're gonna see here is you have the end coming right down. Then you want to take each end of your wires, just grab them, stick them on the end of whatever you're using. And then just zip tie them on. Okay. Alright, these small zip ties are hard to work with. Okay, and then we're just gonna grab the end of our magnet here, and then we're just gonna run these wires right up behind the trim unit. You can see they're coming out right up at the top. And then you can just set this whole thing aside for right now. We just want to get them out of the way so that we don't have to deal with them after. Okay, so then the next thing, so on some models, not all, but some, is you may not have enough clearance. It depends mostly on how your motor is mounted. You may not have enough clearance between the front of your Zynk and the hull of your boat. It's very rare, but we have heard some people have had that issue. So what we recommend, again, not on every install, you can do one of two things. You can drill two small holes right in the front of your Zynk. It's not going to harm it. The other thing you can do is you can run, what I think happens is there becomes corrosion in these bolt holes and it doesn't let it slide far enough back. So you can just run a drill bit down your mounting holes to allow for enough clearance for those 1/8 inch wires to fit in between. So again, it's not on every install, but some may need that, some may not. Second thing we really recommend you do is you just want to take just take some, this is marine grease. You want to take that, and on this install, we have 4 of our stainless M6 washers. We're going to take those out. We're going to put them on, this would be your OEM hardware. Just going to slide them on. Then what you want to do is you just want to take some of this marine grease and put it right on the threads. And this is going to prevent any galvanic corrosion. It's never good to have dissimilar metals touching. So this grease is just going to form a little bit of a barrier. But if you regularly maintain your motor, these bolts will come in and out no problem anyway. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take our zinc. We're going to take this. We're going to stick our hardware through. Next, we're just going to run it right through our bracket. And then just want to get that finger tight. So we've got that just loose. Next thing, you want to just make sure all your wires are in front of the zinc. It looks cleaner, it keeps them out of the way. If you don't have enough clearance, you could run them up the back instead of using the drill bits or anything like that, but we don't recommend that. Okay, so next you're going to take your other bracket, and you're going to take your hardware washer, take a little marine grease, just coat those threads up good. Okay, then we're going to take our other bracket and light. Just gonna, you can do either way. You can sandwich the bracket between the zinc and the transom bracket, or you can put the light bracket on the bottom of the zinc. Got that? Okay, so once we're here, next thing I just like to pull the wires just a little bit up the back just to keep them kind of out of the way. So then next, I'm going to take the rest of our hardware and just button it up, get it on loose, so that before we tighten anything, we know everything's going to line up. Oops. So, I'm going to take my ground strap here, just going to run that up. Now, before I get too far, let me show you, I haven't tightened anything yet, but that's what you're going to be looking at. And again, we'll pull those wires tighter, but that's what you're trying to do right there. And again, I went with sandwiching the brackets in between the zinc, but you can also have the brackets on the bottom of the zinc. It can also be a little easier to install that way. Okay, so then we're just gonna do one final pull on our wires to make sure they're nicely tensioned. And then we also want to have our brackets all the way against the transom so that they will be even. And you can get these a little more snug before you start playing around with that. You can see where they'll end up. Then you can just kind of adjust them after that. Whoops. It's that magnet I was telling you about. Okay. And again, you just want to button them up. And I like to slide mine all the way in. Slide the bracket all the way in. It just, you know, they don't stick out as far. Do the same on this side. Again, you want that all the way against the transom. Okay, so we've got those, and then once you're sure you have everything in place, give that a snug up. Don't have to go crazy, just looking to snug it up and okay, so that's nice and snug. Then we're going to take our dikes here and cut these wires. Cut the wires off the magnet or whatever you use. Okay, so now we've got our wires up here. And then, so now that these are mounted, you're going to end up with something just like that. Okay. And then we're gonna fish our wires that we ran behind our trim unit. We're gonna fish these through the transom hole, which is designed for the trim motor wire. Okay, so there's one. And again, this is, you can kind of play around with what you do, and this is just what I like doing. It hides the wires pretty well. Okay, so now we've got our wires coming through the transom bracket. Next, I like to just zip tie these wires to the trim motor wires. Okay, got that. And it just makes it look a lot cleaner. Okay. That. Now we'll do one more. One more here. Okay. We'll snip these off. Set that aside. Okay. Next, let me show you. Trim this down. Take this cowling off. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to get our wires just up in this grommet, this waterproof grommet right there, that the trim motor wire goes through. And this is, again, just to make things very clean, and that's going to get our wiring below our cowling. So we're just going to feed one at a time. Again, you may have to move things around. You may have to make a small slit in that. It's not going to damage it. It's not going to let in any more water as long as it's not a big gaping cut. So then we'll have one wire there. Run the second one in. have our second wire, second light wire, right inside the cowling. Okay, now you can see that still looks very clean. You can look at that. And you can run as many zip ties as you want. You can clean it up a little bit more. Now, if you just ordered the basic kit with no remote activation, then this is where you would pick up the wiring, and you can do your own from here. If you did order, or you want to order the remote activation kit, then watch the next video. All right, thanks guys.